What's up, beautiful people? This is Christian from the Successful Spiritualpreneur podcast, and today I'm super excited to have Mohan Ranga Rao on the podcast. He is an entrepreneur, explorer, and storyteller who draws inspiration from his journeys through life's triumphs and trials. A seasoned businessman and philanthropist, he has traveled to over 30 countries seeking the beauty of nature and the growth found on challenging trails. His award-winning debut and book, Inner Track: A Reluctant Pilgrim in the Himalayas, chronicles his transformative trek around Mount Kailash, a sacred Tibetan mountain. His latest book, Myopia, is a deeply personal memoir inspired by his daughter Yogita, whose brief life, marked by blindness and then cancer, profoundly shaped his understanding of love, resilience, and the meaning of suffering. In addition to writing, Mohan enjoys tennis, hiking, and exploring subjects ranging from quantum physics to Vedanta. Through his work, he inspires others to embrace life challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation. Such an honor to have you on, Mohan.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for having me with you.
Beautiful. So, tell us a little bit more about your journey with myopia. I think it's such a personal journey, and in general, I think your strength really lies in helping people transforming suffering into spiritual growth and resilience.
Mhm.
So, help us understand, enlighten us. How can we do that for ourselves?
All right, so here it goes. One of the things that I realized when I discovered so many things that are happening to me out of no choice of mine or no fault of mine, things were happening, and I used to label them as negative and bad. You call them hardships, you call them adversities. First, I discovered that my daughter was blind when she was 4 days old. Then I discovered that she couldn't speak when she was 2 years old. Then we discovered that she had cognitive impairment. And then when she was 8 years and 3 months, we discovered that she had stage 4 cancer all of a sudden. So it was a kind of a one thing after another. And I went through a series of mixed feelings and mixed emotions, which were extremely difficult. When those things were happening to me, I only indulge in self pity, self blame, guilt, anger, bitterness, different feelings, fear of future, fear of uncertainty, because I was what you call myopic. When things happen to you, when there were what you call bad things happen to you, you can't look beyond. So you tend to indulge in all the entertaining the negative thoughts, and you have to go through the motions. You'll go through the motions, but after some time, when you connect the dots, you can be able to connect the dots and see the sacredness behind all the suffering that you have faced. One of the things that I realized that in my life, as sit here and talk to you at 67, I am what I am not because of my successes, not because of my wealth, or not because of my businesses, but because of all the failures, all my disappointments, all my betrayals, and all the losses and all the grief that I have faced in my life. So when I look back at everybody, for instance, if you look back at your life, you turn back the pages of your life, you only remember and cherish the happy moments, the cruise that you took, the roller coaster rides that you had, with the kids or your siblings, and all the fun and adventures that you had. But if you look back, you didn't learn anything from those joyous moments except the moments that you cherish. But you look at yourself, the disappointments, the betrayals, the failures, you would have conquered them and emerged stronger, empowered yourself, and always learned something from all the things that happened, bad things. What do you call bad things happened in your life? A betrayal would have corrected your course and sent you to the right guy. A disappointment or a job loss would have corrected your course and sent you in the right direction. Okay? Grief would have made you realize the unrealized self within. Dig deep into the soil of your soul and realize yourself, the unrealized self. So if you look back, you always emerge victorious after every adversity or every hardship that you faced. But when you sit back, have you ever said, I'm grateful to my suffering because it made you who you are today? More strong, resilient, and you know you can cope with other adversities in future. So I realized that I call the book Myopia, because when things are happening to you, you can't look beyond because you're being myopic. The
Yeah.
society also is myopic. When my daughter was born, the society could not look at my daughter beyond what she was. They could only see a blind girl.
Yeah. Very
Yes.
true. And when you look at these, like these things that happen to us in life that kind of shape us and define us as human beings, how can we, um, for example, in A Course in Miracles, which I'm not sure if you know the book, it's like it's a book about non-duality, very
Mm-hmm.
similar to the Bhagavad Gita. Um, it just teaches us that the world is an illusion to
Mm-hmm.
to a degree, and it's very hard for us to understand that when something happens in life, for example, I hurt myself, that we don't identify with that hurt. We don't identify with the body because it's so quote unquote real. So what would you say is something that helps us to see things from a different vantage point, from a different perspective? Like how can we get out from this like myopia, like I'm hurt, I'm suffering. How can we get out from this state into like, let me step back
I
and look at things from a new perspective?
Well, Christian, you answered my question first, and then you asked the question yourself. There is a concept of non-doership, you know, in Hindu Vedanta, in Advaita Vedanta. Now, before coming to that, let me ask you this: pain is a sensation. When there is a pain, you cry. That is a physical instinctive reaction. Or you scream. That's a physical instant reaction. Okay? Pain is a sensation. There's an instinctive reaction and there's a mental reaction. If the mental reaction is one of anger, bitterness, or jealousy, like somebody else doesn't have pain but you have pain, or you blame the doctor, or you blame your body because of the pain, and you indulge in lot of self pity, indulge in lot of why me, that is suffering. So you have to understand that suffering is kind of a reaction. Suffering is kind of an internal reaction. So in Buddhism, we have a concept called dukkha, which is not the equivalent of suffering. Dukkha is a part of samsara. As long as you are in this world, life is a series of suffering. It's only glimpses of non suffering in it. And for you to understand that life comes with both the baggages of good and bad, or the mix of the perfections and the imperfections, it is very, very hard. So when things are happening, you cannot help but react on a mental level because we are dictated by the mind. But like you said, if we can go a little deeper and understand that everything, including the body or the mind, is an appearance in a field called the consciousness called the Brahman, you realize that everything is what we call Maya or an illusion. Illusion means the mind does not realize. As far as the mind is concerned, it is real. What is happening is 100% real. Like for a child, the dream is real and it starts crying when it is dreaming, or when it is afraid, it can't feel that there is nothing to be afraid of. The fear is real for the child. So, similarly, when these things are happening, the mind cannot but suffer and realize, and it will only label bad things as negative and not, this should not be happening, and why me, and self pity. But if there is one, if you are able to, by through practicing mindfulness, through contemplation, through being ready, by accepting and embracing suffering, if you can just take one part of your mind and witness what is happening, so you need to kind of an anchor. You have an anchor in a ship that anchors you. So if you can find an anchor within your mind and use that as a vantage point, and then witness that what is happening is just a mental reaction, and physical reaction is something that you cannot help because it's instinctive, you slowly can get into a position where instead of sidestepping, instead of blaming, instead of cursing God or cursing your destiny, you start accepting it and you start embracing it. And then when you start to realize, if you look back, like I told you, first you need to, when you sit down and think of your past, look at all the things that have happened, like I told you, like a disappointment. You don't have got a job something, and then you have felt totally disappointed. But that would have put you in a course, which is what made you today what who you are.
Yeah,
You have to realize that all these things are course correctors.
I know. In the Course in Miracles, it says your biggest accomplishments are your biggest setbacks, and your
Mhm.
biggest setbacks are your biggest accomplishments.
Yeah, absolutely. So things this is you need to understand the concept of non-doership is that there is it's kind of an orchestra. Okay, everything is being orchestrated, but you cannot the mind cannot see that it is living in the illusion that this is all real and real and real, and so you cannot understand beyond, like what we say, the ocean and the wave. There are many waves in the ocean. One wave is small, one wave is tall, one wave is strong, one wave is weak, one wave is coming very fast, and they all say, oh, look at me, I am taller, oh, I am like the waves. Though they don't realize that they're all goddamn same part of the ocean. They don't realize that it is only momentary fleeting existence that they have, but to them the existence is real. A wave exists for, as they say, the seven ripples of waves that every time you go and sit in front of a sea. But to the wave it is real. The wave thinks that no, I have a separate existence, I am not the ocean. Ocean is different, I am different.
And how
So
can we? How can we? So for people listening in, and they're like, I love that concept. I've never really heard of that before. Or maybe they have heard of it before, but they don't really know how. How can I make it tangible? How can I make it practical? Like, how can I live what you're saying? Like,
it is like it's there is there's not a shortcut answer. It is a kind of conditioning. And how do you condition the mind? You cannot, like that, you cannot just flick of your finger condition the mind. Okay? It is through practice, it is through contemplation. Well, you have heard of the term Ashtanga Yoga. In the West, they only look at yoga as asanas, only stretching. That is only one of the eight parts of the Ashtanga Yoga. So, in which you have contemplation, you have meditation, that is serious looking within, and then the meditation, and then the pranayama, the breath watching. So, there are various methodologies of doing that, but that is too deep, and it is very difficult for people who are involved in day to day life to do that. The best way for you to do that is you have to remember to sit by yourself, starting with 10 minutes with your eyes closed every day. Every day, start with 10 minutes. It probably go to half an hour, and you start keep doing that over a period of couple of years. It'll go to probably even for an hour. But what happens then when you sit with your eyes closed? Automatically, it is very difficult. I don't want to label it as meditation. I don't want to label it as mindful exercise or anything. Select a quiet place, preferably in the mornings after you take your bath, and then close your mind, close your eyes, and then just start witnessing and witnessing. Initially, you and the thought become one. It is very difficult for you to take out that part of yourself, like I told you, the vantage point of an anchor. But within a couple of weeks, you will start getting that vantage point of the anchor, where you start witnessing what is happening. Again, there is what is called breath watching. Now, close your eyes, Christian. Okay, breathe. You are breathing. You stop breathing. You have to catch your body carrying out the respiration. You don't breathe and watch. You don't breathe. Let the body breathe. Catch it breathing. Please understand, you should not breathe and watch. Automatically the body is carrying out respiration.
hmm,
Catch it carrying out respiration. It is automatically carrying out respiration. You are not breathing.
yeah,
Yeah. You saw the silence of the mind?
mm-hmm,
That is the silence of the mind. That silence of the mind is the ocean. When the thought again comes back, see again your thought, you are now in the podcast, sitting in front of Mohan, experiencing. So that again is the illusion that the Maya, that is again you are back in the world. But if you happen, you start with a very simple exercise of catching yourself breathing, not watching yourself breathing. catching your body. Have you ever noticed that you breathe 16 times average per minute? That is about 960 times an hour. How many times have you inadvertently catch itself breathing? You sigh when you are very tired. But in 1 hour, when the body is breathing, have you ever caught your body breathing by itself without intervention like you did now? That is step number one.
Hmm.
Close your eyes for 10 minutes. Watch without you breathing the body carrying out respiration. The difference between respiration and breathing is you do breathing, the mind does breathing. Respiration is something that the body does.
Hmm.
When the respiration is caught by the mind, by itself, that is why when you look at baby, it's called baby breathing. The stomach comes out when you take out the breath, but when we breathe, not like that. The stomach automatically comes out when you inhale, and then when you exhale, it goes in. That is called baby breathing. So as you start breath watching, slowly you get into over a period of time what is called baby breathing. It is completely relaxed.
Beautiful. I love that. Thanks for that little practical, breathing
Hmm.
excursion. And I think it's also very important to notice the difference between, you know, conscious breathing versus respiration and, discovering the distinction because ultimately, like you said, the body dictates our breath, right? That's why when our emotional state changes, the body chemistry changes and then our breathing changes.
Hmm.
So that's really I think
So
pivotal.
yeah, so you keep doing it. So this is simple steps. Then when you catch the body carrying out respiration, automatically your breathing slows down. Your resting heart rate comes down. So you are at a peace with yourself. You drop your shoulders. You're relaxed. So
Yeah.
you get into, they call different names like bliss and all that. But let me just tell you, you are in a more relaxed, enjoying the present now, here now.
So tell us a little bit about your journey on Mount Kailash.
Wow. Thank you for asking that because everybody was kept asking me about my book Myopia, but I wish somebody would ask me. See, this is how it happened. I sold all my businesses when I turned 56, and then 57, 58, I started trekking with my wife. We did a lot of trek in the Himalayas and in the Western Ghats, and I basically was more into trekking as a physical exercise, going on the mountain peaks and enjoying the scenery just at a physical carnal level. Okay. So to me, trekking was had nothing to do with spirituality at all. Trekking was first to me a physical exercise because I was the kind of a guy who wanted a resting heart rate of not more than 53. I used to pump the heart to the 150 so that I have a VO2 max of 42 or 44, and how fast I could walk and how fast I could jog and all that. And I even won a marathon in the veteran group of 10 kilometer marathon by standing first runners up among 1,600 people. So I am totally into the physical kind of a material kind of a body related exercises. So my wife came out with the idea of visiting Mount Kailash because her friend suggested her that we should do that after we conducted what is called a Rudra Homa. Rudra Homa is in Lord Shiva. So I was not too keen. I thought it was a pilgrimage. So I was very reluctant. That's why I called the book Inner Trek, a Reluctant Pilgrim in the Himalayas. And finally she went ahead, did the booking for us. It cost us about $3,000 or $4,000 for the entire trip, but we got the Chinese visa because Tibet is in China. And then we started trekking, and only four of us chose to do by foot. Rest of them took ponies because it's very difficult. It is at 19,000 feet, and usually in any group of pilgrims who do the trek, because of the altitude, one or two of them die, and 4 to 5% of the people who do the trekking because they're not physically fit enough, or altitude sickness hits them and the hypoxia, and so they have this problem. So out of the 47 of us, four of us chose to go by foot, and I was one of them. And the first day of the trek, I started just as a kind of a trekker, not as a pilgrim. But I saw the north face on day one, man. My mouth opened, and like they like the movies, it took couple of seconds for me to. You read the book, you will know that Karma, the Tibetan guide who couldn't speak any language apart from Tibetan, I couldn't speak Tibetan, so he beckoned to me and showed, and man, it changed my complete mind. I saw God in nature for the first, for the second, and the first time I had seen God in nature was when I saw Grand Canyon in US. The first time I had no expectation of, I had nothing, no idea what it was about, and this was more, more, more miraculous, more inordinate, more thrilling and incredible. In the brown serendipity of the Himalayas, at the 18,000 feet altitude, there is a black granite rock. Sometimes it looks like the head of a serpent, sometimes it looks like a pyramid, sometimes it looks like a space and aircraft, alien spacecraft. And the second day was the toughest trek, 22 kilometers. Man, my mind had completely transformed. So I was more thinking about the ancient rishis, Vedanta, the great seers of the past of thousands of years, and completely, it totally changed me. I became so curious. So I started digging into my own past, in my own the bones about whatever I learned about my culture. Automatically, then there was kind of a transformation in me, and the mind went back to my childhood when I used to do the prayers with my grandmother. I took the Krita and whatever I heard about Mahabharata or what about I heard about Ramayana and the Saptarishis, about Bharadwaja and the Adi Yogi called Shiva. So the entire day, our mind was completely when I was looking at all these distant snow-peak mountains in the Himalayas. I was just looking at nothing but creation of God, and I saw God in nature.
Wow,
It
that's
was
incredible.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah, I think a journey like that, and especially on Mount Kailash, which is so sacred, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And do you know why it is so sacred? Like maybe for people who are listening, they don't know like why Mount Kailash. Like what is so
Well, yeah,
special?
there are there's different explanations. There is the spiritual explanation, there is the scientific explanation, there is the philosophical explanation. What explanation do you want?
I would say, I mean, one that combines all of them, if you can.
No, in the sense that there were a team of Russian scientists who went to understand why it is revered, and they made out and they concluded after the study that it is definitely a giant man-made pyramid. It's not a
Mm,
natural formation. They concluded that, and as unfortunately, because they did the research very freakily, all of them died within a few years, though they were in their 30s and 40s. It was very strange as it may sound, because it is always warned by people in our religion not to try to climb it because it's incarnation of God. And
mm,
as a holy shrine, this is supposed to be the holy shrine, the abode of Lord Shiva. By the Hindus and the Tibetan Buddhists accept it as a holy shrine. They call it Mount Kailash, especially if you do the circumambulation of the shrine, which is about 30 miles, and Tibetan Buddhism. And then the Jains, they call it that is where the 24 Tirthantakara, he is the one who got enlightened there from the Jain religion. So over 2 billion people hold it in a very, very high reverence as far as religion is concerned. And as far as the mythology is concerned, it is supposed to be the Axis Mundi. Axis Mundi is, the lower world and the higher world. There is always the lower world of the bad things, the higher world. So this is supposed to be the navel of the earth. And then you to reach the higher world is the only place. This is called the Axis Mundi. This is the place from where you go to the higher world. And they also scientifically the distance between this and North Pole, distance between here and South Pole is exactly 6,666 kilometers. So there are so many strange coincidences and so many calculations, and many people who nobody has been able to climb it. 5 people tried and they failed, and good things did not happen to them. So there are many, many legends like this. So when some people, when they go to Mount Kailash, especially Lake Manasarovar, they say lights at night, seven lights that come down from the sky, and they call them the seven Saptarishis, the ancient Saptarishis, the seven great rishis of India.
Wow.
So there are legends like this, and so it's incredible. You need to read about. I written all
Yeah.
this in my book.
It's a really fascinating subject. It's
Hmm.
also often described as the crown chakra of the earth. You know how the
Hmm.
earth has chakras, so
Hmm.
it's a very powerful energetic center.
Yeah.
Like a natural giant. Uh,
Yeah, in fact, they do say
chakra.
that, yeah, the nails and the hairs grow. So I put my photographs also about my beard after 5 days in Mount Kailash. You can see it in the book.
Yeah,
I
and
asked the
then
readers, is my hair too much for 5 days? I put a question mark like that. And you can see kind of a radiance in my face
yeah,
after the Mount Kailash. Have you read the book?
I have not read the book, no,
Yeah, okay.
but
Please
I've
read it.
traveled to India myself
Hmm.
8 years ago, and yeah, I was in the Himachal Pradesh region, so not Mount Kailash, of course, but close, and it's an incredible energy there. So it's the very, very sacred region of the earth.
Yeah, see, the difference between the Alps or the Andes and the Himalayas is that the Himalayas talk to you.
Mm.
So I feel that way. I'm saying that maybe you feel I say this because I'm an Indian, but you can see there is a magic, there's an energy in the Himalayas that you won't find in the Andes or the Alps. Many people tell me that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of wisdom still in both places, right? The Andes
Hmm.
and Himalayas,
Hmm.
and I feel the Latin American heritage is very much. Mm,
Yeah, you had the shamans there.
yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's 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 differently translated. I think what it's like when you say like Kailash speaks to you. I think there's more reports of Kailash in words versus the Andes are a little bit more experiential, right? Like you have maybe plant medicines come more from the Andes than they
Hmm.
come from Kailash, right? So Kailash is more, I would say, upper
Hmm.
chakras, right? Whereas the Andes would be more like center. You feel something, you ingest something. It's very fascinating,
Yeah.
and it's really cool to see. So yeah, what a cool expedition that you got to go on to Mount Kailash. What a
Yeah, I was lucky. Yeah, I was really lucky. I will always cherish that.
yeah. That's beautiful. So we have about 5-7 minutes left on the episode, and I really wanted to dive in with you more into guiding people how to just realize when they're suffering, how to step out of it. I think we've covered that,
Hmm.
and how they can transform their lives now that they have heard about these tools and these practices. Like, what do you think? How can one find their dharma? How can one find their path if they haven't yet?
Well, see, Dharma, the meaning of Dharma is ethical duty in Bhagavad Gita. Ethical
Mm,
duty means there is Christian, the father, Christian, the brother, Christian, the professional, Christian, the student. Okay, so many aspects are there. Similarly, so for every human being has what is called righteous conduct. What you say in the America, the right thing to do. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is the righteous thing to do. Now, for instance, if like you, if the somebody who has committed a crime goes to a liar and confesses, and morally it is his duty to report to the police authorities that he has murdered somebody. But ethically, it is his duty to protect his client. Similarly, a soldier fights for the country and kills a man. Morally, he kills a man; he'll always be a killer. But ethically, he is protecting so many people of his country. So there will always be an ethical dilemma, morally and ethically. There's a difference. So the Bhagavad Gita shows you the path. what is the ethically righteous thing to do for a human being. So the best thing for you to do is to read the Bhagavad Gita.
Hmm.
That is what I would suggest. Pick out the simplest that interpretation of the translation that you have and read about it. So what the Bhagavad Gita says is that we are all, there is the Purusha and the Prakriti. The Purusha is the great field of creation, had created the universe and got merged with it like a sandwich. They are inseparable. So this field of infinite intelligence called the Brahman created Prakriti, the universe, is a question that it doesn't answer, but it says it could be Leela, it could be self-actualization, it could be entertainment, but it's not our. It's a mystery that is beyond us. And then, so it has given the mind and observes the way that you are going to behave in this world. So when you say karma, there are four types of karma briefly, like past karma, agama karma, praribdha karma, kinchita karma. So the different types of karmas. But in Hinduism, we believe that the karma gets accumulated, and as long till it is nullified, you will keep on, you will be born and born and born again. And then once you finish all the karma and become perfect one with union with the Brahman, you attain what is called the moksha. So these are the basic philosophies that you will learn when you read the Bhagavad Gita. So you read the Bhagavad Gita, and the very fact that you are spending so much time with the holy book that has such good advice to give will be so transformative to the mind. The second thing that I advise is at least spend starting with 10 minutes a day. Sit. You don't have to sit in a lotus position. Many people can't even cross their legs. It doesn't matter. Sit on a stool. Place your two hands on your knees. Doesn't matter. Just make sure that you're vertical. The spine has to be vertical because we believe that the spine is like a dry cell. The negative and the positive with the crown chakra here with the pineal gland as the positive, and here with the perineum gland with the under the prostate is the negative. It's like an electric thing. So everything happens in spine is very important. So keep the spine erect and sit for 10 minutes with your eyes closed, no matter what. And then slowly over a period of time, you will find an vantage point like an anchor. Hold on to it. So that period will be 1 second in the beginning of silence, like when you did your breath watching. That 1 second will become 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then you attain after some time, maybe after 1 year or 2 years, depending upon how seriously and disciplined you make. If you spread it for about 20 minutes to 25 minutes, you attain what is called brief samadhi, where will be thoughtlessness. You are a dead man. There is only awareness. And you won't be aware of the aware because there is no mind, there is no experience.
Hmm.
That is what we call Satchidananda. So that is the bliss because there is no thought, there is nothing, no experience. There is no experiencer, there is no experience. So this is at a later stage, but do these things simple. So read, pick up the book that you have on Bhagavad Gita, and if you want to know about the Eastern philosophy, and if you don't want to get study, all religions say the same thing. So even Christianity says the same thing. So just sit quiet, look within you, start digging deep into yourself slowly, close your eyes, and then you start focusing. Like I gave you a tip about breath watching. You catch your body breathing. You don't breathe and watch.
Yeah.
Once
Beautiful.
you, yeah,
Yeah, I think that is really a key point. Start reading about these sacred texts, start looking within yourself, and um, m- start beginning a practice that brings you to that state every day.
yeah,
Because it's not so much, again, like the reading and the state and the. It's not so much about the intellect. It's about getting this information into your
exactly. So you at least get
body.
it. You get it to that particular dimension first. Put your toes. So just like you test the water for its temperature. Putting your toe in. So put your toe in. Then you will know. Then you can put your feet in, and then you can immerse. Like I did the immersion in Holy Lake Manasarovar when it was 5 degrees centigrade chilling. So put your toe first, and then acclimatize yourself. You'll get there. Trust the universe. Trust yourself. Be disciplined and be prompt.
Beautiful. I love that. So we're coming towards the end of the episode, and I would love to hear from you. What is something that humanity right now can really, I would say, look forward to, and that you want to leave the audience with? Like, what
Yeah,
are
two things. First, one good thing that is happening as I have been watching right since I started my transcendental meditation 25 years ago, way back in 2000, 2000. And from transcendental, I went to Vipassana and then, but sometimes even now I go to transcendental when my mind is in a tumult and then it helps me. What I notice is that the whole world, the level of consciousness, the number of seekers, the eagerness to learn beyond the mind, it is increasing. So I see kind of a rise in the consciousness of the whole world. I can sense it and I can feel it. Okay, that's one good thing. The second thing, the message that I want to leave with the world, with my listeners, is see the sacredness behind suffering. Okay, don't sidestep suffering. Don't try to avoiding it. You choose suffering when you want to climb a mountain and ache your legs. You choose suffering when you pay money to go on a roller coaster ride and scare the hell out of you. You choose suffering when you do cycling with the hurt till your knees hurt. You choose suffering when you do a marathon, and you choose suffering when you do so many other things. But unchosen suffering, when the universe gives you unchosen suffering, you don't want that. So though it is hard, the mind plays its tricks before anything bad happens. If you condition yourself to be ready, to embrace, to accept, suffering is sacred. You can, if you look back on all your, like I said in my principle, disappointment is divine, grief is good, betrayal is a blessing. Okay, you look back, you will always connect the dots. And now, oh my God, thank God that's happened. That's why I'm here. So when you look back, you can connect the dots and the what you call the bad things or the negative things that happened. So start seeing the sacredness of suffering.
beautiful? Thanks for sharing all that with us, sharing your wisdom, sharing your heart, and that's a perfect note to end on, to see that suffering is
You
sacred.
see. Thank you, Christian. Thank you for having me.
Go let us know where people can find you, where they can buy the book, and
It's on Amazon. Both the books are available on Amazon.com. So you write Mohan Ranga Rao, my name, books. So you will get it even in Google. If you write, you get the books. So please read it. We got Guy Finlay, who wrote the Secret of Letting Go, which sold millions of copies worldwide. He has endorsed my book Myopia.
beautiful.
So I think it's something that I'm not in it for sales or money. God has been kind to me with money. I just want to share my daughters in honor of my daughter. Share the what I have learned from her.
Yeah, beautiful. So check out the books, The Inner Trek, A Reluctant Pilgrim in the Himalayas, by
Myopia.
Mohan Ranga Rao, and also Myopia, A Father's Journey into Love, Loss, and Sight Beyond Vision. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Mohan. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Christian.